Hi everyone! Are you building a Spring Boot 3 application and finding that springdoc-openapi-ui just isn't working as expected? Many developers hit this wall. You add the dependency to your pom.xml or build.gradle. You start your application. You navigate to /swaggerui.html or /swaggerui/index.html in your browser. But instead of seeing your beautiful API documentation, you get a blank page, a 404 error, or even a login prompt you didn't anticipate. Don't worry, this is a very common issue with Spring Boot 3 projects, and the solution is usually quite straightforward once you understand the underlying cause. The main culprit behind springdoc-openapi-ui failing to load in Spring Boot 3 is almost always Spring Security 6. Spring Boot 3 upgraded to Spring Security 6, which introduced significant changes, particularly in how security is configured and applied. By default, Spring Security 6 is much more restrictive. It blocks access to nearly all endpoints unless you explicitly permit them. This default behavior means that the paths springdoc-openapi-ui needs to function are protected. Specifically, it blocks access to the /v3/api-docs/endpoints, which are where springdoc-openapi generates your OpenAPI specification JSON or YAML. It also blocks the /swaggerui/paths, which serve all the static assets like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files that make up the interactive Swagger UI. Without access to these paths, the UI simply cannot render or fetch your API definitions. So, how do we fix this? The solution involves configuring Spring Security to explicitly allow access to these necessary springdoc-openapi-ui paths. First, ensure you have the correct springdoc-openapi dependency. For most web applications using Spring MVC, you'll need springdoc-openapi-starter-webmvc-ui. Make sure the version is compatible with Spring Boot 3. Typically, versions like 1.7.0 or higher for springdoc-openapi are designed for Spring Boot 3. Once your dependencies are in order, you need to create or modify your Spring Security configuration. You'll typically have a class annotated with @configuration and @enable web security. Inside this class, you'll define a SecurityFilterChain bean. This is where you tell Spring Security which paths to protect and which to allow. You need to permit access to the springdoc-openapi-ui paths using authorized HTTP requests. Here's the core of the fix. Within your SecurityFilterChain bean, you will configure http.authorize HTTP requests, auth-auth.requestMatchers, /v3/api-docs/ /swaggerui/.permitall.anyrequest.authenticated. This line is key. It tells Spring Security to permit all requests to any path starting with /v3/api-docs/ and any path starting with /swaggerui/. After explicitly permitting these paths, you can then define your application's default security policy, such as .anyrequest.authenticated, which means all other requests require authentication. Additionally, for many API-only backends, you might also want to disable CSRF protection if you're not explicitly handling CSRF tokens in your frontend. You can do this by adding .csrf, csrf-csrf.disable to your HTTP security configuration. Once you've made these changes to your security config class, save the file and restart your Spring Boot application. Now, when you navigate to /swaggerui/index.html or /swaggerui.html depending on your Springdoc version and configuration, your API documentation should load perfectly, displaying your endpoints and allowing you to interact with them. The problem is simple. Spring Security 6 blocks everything by default. You just need to open the specific gates for springdoc-openapi-ui. So, remember, the next time springdoc-openapi-ui isn't cooperating in your Spring Boot 3 project, check your Spring Security configuration first. It's almost certainly a permissions issue. Thanks so much for watching this video. If this explanation helped you get your Swagger UI up and running, please give this video a like. And if you want more tips and solutions for common Spring Boot development challenges, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.